Okay, Jonathan here, guys.
And it's also Bridget here.
And in this video, we are going to be going over a really big concept here, and that is really about taking ownership. And we're going to share some ideas with you today that we really want you to keep an open mind because it's really going to shift the way that you look at things. It's going to shift your perspective on why you're here and why things have happened to you. And it's something that we've this concept of this earth is a school. And when you understand what that really means, it'll shift how you view kind of your life, your experiences. Um, and really, it's liberating because it's actually very empowering when you get to that point. You realize, wow, like I am here for a reason. All these things have happened for a reason. So,
I kind of, the reason why we kind of want to share this with you, and I think it really helped me a lot personally, was that prior to my spiritual journey, I really was living in victimhood where I just blamed. I blamed why is it that I was born and raised in this kind of family that I was in? Why was it that everyone else's family or parents were rich aside from mine? Why was it that I had to, work to pay for my own tuition, but my friends didn't because their parents paid for it? Why was it that everyone else had a car except for me? So there was a lot of blame, and also going through childhood, it was very dysfunctional, as well as, and I was being molested. And I always wonder why did it have to happen to me? And I was kind of being raised with the belief like, well, just suck it up. You must have done something wrong in the past life, that's why you are taking on this karma. So it's like I kind of was just living in the victimhood and in the place of blame, thinking that I just felt powerless. And it wasn't until that what we're about to share with you, that this about this concept that Earth is a school, that I started to shift and really take my power back and go, holy fuck, I chose my lessons. That means I could change it. So one quote that I want to share with you is by Wayne Dyer. He says, we're spiritual beings having human experiences, not human beings having spiritual experiences. And this is what I mean by that. Have you ever heard of a story of the little soul and the God? Doesn't matter. Even if you heard of it, I'm going to share it anyways.
yeah, it's a really good story. Um, but even before we get there, let's talk a little bit about Earth being a school. What does that mean? So when we say that Earth is a school, this is kind of our perception of it. This is how we look at it, is that we were like these souls up in heaven or light or the source, and we came down to Earth to learn and to have different experiences. So the whole point is we came here to have learn these lessons, right? These what we call life lessons, different experiences, different emotions, how to um, how to grow, how to kind of level up on this earth. And so it's kind of like coming in. I think Bridget, you explained it really well with like it's like a university, right? We go to classes and
Yes. So let me share this story with you first, and
okay.
I'll kind of explain to you my perception of it. This story of the little soul and God really helped uplifted me and helped me see my whole life from a complete different perspective. So here's how the story goes. So there was this little soul. He went to God and he says, God, I'm a light, I'm a light, I'm a light, I'm a light. And God says, yes, you are. And the little soul says, but I want to know what does it feel like to be alive? I want to know what it experiences to be alive. How do I do that? God says, are you sure you want to experience that? Little soul says, yes, I do. And then sure enough, the next second, this little soul was surrounded by complete darkness. It was so dark that this little soul was so scared. And he says, God, are you there? Like, where are you? I'm really scared. Where am I? And God says to him, look around. I'm here. Don't worry. I'm always here. But look around you and then look at yourself. And the little soul look around him, look around his environment, realize, wow, it is all darkness. And then he looked at himself and said, oh my gosh, I am a light. I am a light. I know what it feels like to be a light now. This is so cool. This is so fun. I want to learn and experience something else. And God asks, well, great. What would you like to experience or learn? And the little soul says, I want to experience forgiveness. And God says, well, all right, but you actually need someone else to help you with about this lesson. He was like, okay. And right at this moment, there was another soul that came in and said, I'll help you with that. The little soul was so happy and saying, will you really help me with this lesson? And this new soul says, yes, I will help you with that. But before we go down there, I want you to promise me one thing. I want you to promise me that you will remember me. You'll remember who I am. I want you to promise me that I love you, that you remember that I love you so much. Because when we go down there, I'm going to do horrible, horrible, horrible things to you and lower my vibration so low to help you learn the lessons and experience what it feels like to forgive. Would you promise me that you will remember me? And the little soul says, yes, I promise you. And they both come down here to Earth, to this planet, to where we believe is the university of life, to experience and learn about forgiveness. And this is kind of what I mean, because prior to listening to this story, actually, when I heard this story for the first time, I thought of my dad immediately, because for a long time, I couldn't understand why I was born and raised in such dysfunctional family, why my dad had to be so abusive. And I couldn't let go of the resentment. I was so puzzled. I was so angry, full of anger and frustration and resentment that I didn't know how to process it. But this story of the little soul and the God really brought me back, bring my power back and go, oh my gosh, what if it is true? What if we did choose our parents, our friends, our family, and life experiences because we're such limitless soul before we came down here? You know, before we came down to earth, we were just love. Nothing was challenging to us. Or even if it was challenge, we loved it. We loved challenges because we believed we could do anything. And we're literally just picking and choosing, okay, prior to coming to the University of Life, which is we call planet Earth, is that we go, okay, I want to take this class of forgiveness. And what kind of professor do I want in this class to teach me that? Or what kind of friends or classmates do I want in this classroom to help support me, or even give me a nudge or push the button so that I can, go internally and work on myself? Or who else should I choose in my lifetime in this classroom to help me experience this, to learn this, to help me become more independent? What if you really did choose your own class, your own lessons, your own professors, your parents, your friends, your classmates, your spouses? What if that is the case? Just allow yourself to be open to this idea for a little bit, and allow that to sink in. Because that is the process of you taking your power back. Because whenever we're still in the blaming mode or anger mode, we blame and carry the guilt and the shame. Then we'll always give our power away to someone else or something else. But if we really did choose our own life lessons and experiences, then we have the power to create something else as well. So one thing that we want to talk about is we believe there's a quote that says, we live our lives forward, but we understand our lives backward. And a lot of time we kind of just live through life carrying all those guilt, blame, and shame with us. And consciously or unconsciously, we just go, why did he do that? Why did she do that? What did my dad have to say that? Why did my mom have to say that? How come my husband or my wife had to do this? Why isn't my child listening to me? It's always like blame, 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 blame. Why did this have to happen to me? Like, whether or not you're consciously aware of it, as long as you have negative emotions that you feel within yourself towards certain situation or certain people, you're carrying some kind of blame or shame or guilt or resentment towards that. And we kind of just live our life forward, but haven't never really taken the time to sit down and kind of review our life and connect the dot and understand, okay, if whatever that major life event, say divorce, traumas, car accidents, losing somebody, breakups, or sickness, illnesses, whatever it may be, what if that had to happen to teach me something? What if that had to happen for me to realize something, to be awakened to something? How is it helping me? What if that had to happen for me to go towards a different direction and for me to meet someone else? We never really taken the time to sit down and connect the dot, because here's the thing. Once you realize, oh, wow, this had to happen for me to get to that place, meet this person, talk to this person, in order for me to get to where I am today, you'll be like, oh my gosh. You're connecting the dot. You're taking an inventory of your life.
Yep, absolutely. And this is such a huge concept because, and I think if you're watching this right now, then you totally understand this. And we believe that you'll probably really resonate with this, is that whatever hell you've gone through, whatever pain you've had, has happened for a reason, and it's helped you get to where you are today, right? So many people I know, we know that they turned their mess into their message. They've turned their pain into their power. Whatever you went through has also helped you become the person you are today. And maybe even what you're going through now, you have to go through because you don't know how this experience that you're going through now is going to shape or mold you into the person you're going to be in the future. Perfect example of this, Bridget, is kind of, why don't you share that story of the molesting? You didn't understand why until your client.
Oh. Okay. So yeah, there was an experience where so I got onto spiritual journey at around 2019, right? 2009.
2009.
I time traveled. So I got onto spiritual journey on 2009. And prior to that, I had always carried a lot of like, why? And so even on this spiritual journey, I worked a lot on my childhood and all the things that's happened to me, and still couldn't fully understand why the thing that happened to me had to happen, until this one time that I was talking to a client. I was just talking to her on the phone. She was referred to me by another client of mine. And then she said, well, someone told me, just told me to call you. I don't know what I'm here for, but because she says so I'm just going to call you. I was like, okay, let's see what the divine has for you. Let's work through it. And right in the beginning, I just felt that she wasn't being very trusting or open with me. And instead of going on, continue the session like I usually do, I follow my gut feeling and decided to share my own story of what had happened to me as a child. Prior to that, I rarely share it with anybody, but I just felt, I was like, hey, you know what? It's completely okay that you don't feel ready for, this session. And I was being completely honest, and I just said, I just feel there's a part of you that doesn't feel very trusting, and that's completely okay. I'll be here for you whenever you're ready. But, you know, I experienced the same thing where I didn't feel trusting with people as well. And I kind of shared with her about my molestation as a child when I was 3 to 5 year old. And I don't know why I had to share that. It was just a gut feeling that I did. And after sharing my own personal experience, I felt that she started to open up and she became more trusting. And she told me she was ready for the session. And I was able to work on her. And turned out that through the session, I realized she also experienced same thing as me, or very similar thing as me. And it was at that moment that I realized, wow, like the traumas that happened to me didn't happen for no reason. One of the reasons was for me to experience what I had to experience. Yes, for me to become a stronger person, and also to relate to other women and help other women to get through it, to stop carrying it, because I worked through my own shit for a long time. And now, since I worked through it and had that kind of experience, I can help other people who have the similar experiences.
Perfect. Thank you. Yeah, and same goes for anybody watching this, is whatever you've gone through, it's all happened for a reason. You might not know what that reason is yet, but trust that it did happen. Okay, so now we're going to talk about, this is an exercise we want you guys to do. Okay, it's about taking inventory of your life. All right, and how we do this, right? We want you to, just take a moment to really, really review your life. Okay, it's kind of like a life review, just looking back in your past throughout the years as much as you can remember. And we want you to just kind of list all of the major life events, traumas, separations, breakups, etc. Just kind of the big moments of those of your life. Okay, and then you're going to go back to each life event and connect the dots. Okay, and when we say connect the dots, we're going to help you with that. We're going to have some questions that you can ask as you're going through this exercise.
Okay, so also keep in mind to please take your time to do any of the exercises in this program. Do not rush it. We really want you to take your time to do this in your work journal. Okay, so we have a few questions to help you look back, take an inventory, and kind of understand this video training is really about taking your power back instead of blaming, through understanding why certain things had to happen. What lessons were you supposed to learn? Because here's the thing, if there was a lesson that you're supposed to learn and you didn't allow yourself to learn it, it's going to repeat itself again. So just go back and review your life and realize, okay, these are the lessons that I've learned. I can let go of it now. Okay. So number one, just like Jonathan said, take a moment to really, really review your life. List all major life events and go back and connect the dots and ask these questions. Number one, how did this experience? And I want you to, go back to each life event and then ask about each life event and say, how did this experience help you? So I want you to list the positive lessons, because when I say, what did you actually learn from this lesson? Some people say, well, my ex-boyfriend helped me not to trust men anymore. That's not a positive lesson. An example of positive lesson could be, okay, so this experience actually helped me to learn to trust myself more, to trust my gut feeling more, my instinct more, because I realized I had that red flag right in the beginning, but I kind of ignored it, or whatever it is, okay? And then also maybe it could be help you become more independent. Okay, if you need to pause this video. Also, I'm going to create a PDF file with all these questions so you can just, go and review it. But if you need to take your time and come back for this video training, please do as much as you want, as often as you need, and take as long as you need. Okay, so that's the number one question. And then pause the video and go back to do this. Okay, I hope you did that exercise earlier. Now the second question is, where did this experience lead you to? That's, for example, it could be, there was an opportunity that you really wanted from somebody. You asked somebody for a favor and that person says no. And maybe at the time you were blaming them. It's like, how could you not care about me, whatever it is, or seriously, or you're hurt, you're butthurt about it. But what if, because of that no, it directed you to a better path? Did it direct you to meet the other better people, right people, who found a better way, a better method to do things, or maybe even become more resourceful and creative because, I had a no, but it's actually better yes. Okay. One of the examples for me personally was I had a fallout with one of the spiritual teachers that I really, really looked up to. And then things happened. It got me really, really confused. The relationship got sour. And basically we just had a foul. And then because I looked up to her so much and I was really, really hurtful because of that experience. It actually took me 2 years to get out of it. And those 2 years, I just couldn't understand why did that have to happen. And as life goes on, now looking back, I have a bigger understanding of it all. I realized it had to happen that way because I've outgrown her. I've already learned everything that I needed to learn from her. But if that event didn't happen, I would kind of just allow myself to stay small around that environment instead of going elsewhere and explore and learn more things that could help me along the way. Okay, so really take inventory of your life events and realize, how did this experience lead you to? Where did it lead you to? Okay.
Yeah, the big one for these is usually, relationships is a big one where, if you look back at the people that you might have dated before, you thought, hey, I'm going to, marry this person or whatnot. And for whatever reason, it didn't work out. And you're always wondering why it didn't work out. But if you look back and for me, it's like, yeah, I've had a few people that I thought I was going to be with forever, and it didn't work out that way. And I'm happy it didn't, because now I get to be with Bridget, who is amazing, and it works out perfectly. And, without her, we wouldn't have created Nyla, our beautiful daughter. So it's like, it's a blessing. It's really a blessing in disguise. And it's such a great feeling to know that, hey, I'm happy that that relationship didn't work out because I have such a better one now. And that's why it's so important it's so empowering to look at this.
Yes. And through these experiences, instead of carrying anger towards those people or experiences, you start to merge into gratitude.
Yep.
Because if the fall didn't happen, I wouldn't have met so many other more people, because I would have just, hold on to her. I needed more things from her. Or if Jonathan was holding on to his past relationship that no longer worked, we would never meet and create, have beautiful Nyla. We were just talking about Nyla has to have the both of us in order to create Nyla. And she is absolutely precious to us.
Absolutely. Okay. So next.
And also another questions to ask about your life experience was, what were the gifts that came out of this experience? Like gifts, it could be blessings. Did you learn more about forgiveness? Did you have more compassion and being able to relate to others more? Like my greatest gift from my dad literally was forgiveness. Like everybody can talk about forgiveness, but until they fully experience that, they won't fully understand and grasp what that means. And for a long, 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 long time, I held on to a lot of resentment towards my dad. And I didn't even talk to him for like maybe 3 to 5 years. So in 2009, I got on a spiritual journey, and I was so excited sharing about him on the phone because he lives in Taiwan. I live in the US, of course. And then I told him about the spiritual journey, and he was just yelling at me because he is a hardcore Buddhism and believes that everything outside of Buddhism is just a cult. So he didn't know what I was getting into. And so he started yelling at me, calling me names, calling me stupid, and started yelling at my mom through me. And for like straight 20 minutes nonstop, it's almost like he didn't even have to breathe. And I literally had to put my phone down on the desk because I just couldn't take that negativity. And my mom walked by to the room and said, "Oh my God, he's still yelling at you?" I was like, "Yeah." And she was like, "Just hang up." I was like, "Okay." I hung up, and since then I haven't talked to him for about 3 to 5 years until this one time. Someone from Taiwan called me and said, "Hey, please give me a call back. I have something emergency to tell you about your dad." And I was like, holy shit. Well, what is it? Because through the years, I thought about the questions. What if my dad passes away because I hadn't talked to him? Would I regret this? And I decided not to face that question. But when that person from Taiwan called me, I was forced to face that question. And I called her back, and she said it's actually my grandpa who got a stroke and didn't have much time to live. So I was given an opportunity to go back. I really go back to Taiwan to visit. I really, 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 really didn't want to, but I still did. And the universe magically gave me all the resources, finances, support, all everywhere to give me all the signs and messages to go, it's time for you to face your past. And I did, but I was so scared. The whole trip back, I was thinking, is he going to yell at me? Is he going to slap me again? Is he going to, being bitter and all that stuff? I was so scared. And finally, I called my dad and said, I'm going back. Let's meet on a certain day. And prior to that day, every day I was nervous. Every day I had stomachache. And until I saw him, he walked towards me and put his hands on my shoulders, and he just smiled. And it was at that moment that I realized, wow, he does love me. I didn't know. He just didn't know how to love me, the way that I wanted to be loved. But it's not that he hated me or didn't trust me or, it's not that he hated me. That's why he yelled at me. It's because he loved me, but he didn't know how to express it. And the only way he knew how to express it was through anger, through worry, through yelling. And it was at that moment that I let go all the resentments that I had in the past 16 years. Actually, probably not 16 years. I would say probably 20 something years, because I never felt the love from him. And it was at that moment that I experienced what forgiveness truly means. And that was the greatest gift, and that no one else could give it to me but my dad. So I want you to also go through your experiences and realize what were the gifts and blessings that came out of that experience. Okay. Next question will be, how did this experience help you become who you are today? Did that experience help you express your truth? Did the experience help you become more confident? Or, what did it push you to let go of toxicity in your life because you're like, fuck this shit, I don't want to take this anymore. Okay. And then you figure out a way to set healthy boundaries. Or was it to appreciate what you have more? Okay. Another question to ask is, how would you like to let go or forgive this experience now that you realize how it served you. Sometimes going through these questions, realizing it is one thing. After you realize it, truly understand it, we got to let go of it. We don't have to carry it anymore. It's almost like you have learned the first grade math. You wouldn't, try to carry the textbook to the second grade or third grade. It's the same thing. You've learned the lesson already. You don't have to carry that baggage with you anymore. But you got to respect yourself and ask yourself for your own thoughts and feeling and opinion. How would you like to forgive this? How would you like to let go of this? And I don't want you to think the answer. I want you to feel the answer. So put your hands on your heart to feel the answers to this question. Sometimes the answer could be, I just needed to express my truth more. Maybe imagine this person in front of you and completely just express your truth. It's like, I was mad at you, I was not happy with you, or I was hurt when you said this or did that. Or it's simply us loving yourself through it. Whatever it may be, trust what your heart tells you. Trust what your feeling tells you. Trust your gut. Trust your instinct. Okay. So that's the last slide for this training module. Again, please go back to this video for as many times as you need. And I'm going to create PDF files with all the questions so that you can take your time doing them. Okay. Do all these exercises from your heart. Take your time. Feel it through. Forgive, let go, take your power back. Because it's only when you take full responsibility of your life will you be able to step into your power 100% and create the life you truly want. Taking responsibility is not blaming yourself for that has happened to me, but as simply as, okay, I chose this, I made this decision, this is what happened. Okay, I own it. I did it. I made a mistake. I failed one time or a few times. All right, own it. Now what do I do? You have to face it and own it before you can change it and create a different story. Okay, so that's the last slide of this training. And we'll see you in the next one.